this month. So the first card I have that flew out here is the Queen of Cups in the reverse position. And the Queen of Cups can be an external energy. This can be a male or female, a water sign that you are dealing with for this month, or maybe even potentially last month. This is the first card that flew out, so I do feel that it's somebody that is residual energy. It could still be someone in your midst that you are dealing with, okay? So a water sign is a Pisces, a Cancer, or a Scorpio. At the same time, I do feel there are communication problems with this person because of the Mercury in retrograde. At the same time, if this is not an external energy, if this is an internal energy within yourself, I do feel that there is a sense of like uncertainty. And we're going to pull the rest of the cards to see what you're dealing with, but I do feel here hesitation, uncertainty, looking at, it's kind of like re-examining your relationships more than anything, because this is a card of emotional feelings, okay, like depth. And it's in reverse, so you are not sure. It's kind of like your head and your heart is not in the same place, okay? So emotionally, you feel that you're on the right track, but intellectually, you feel that, you know, that relationship, that person, that job, that situation, there's some kind of like anxiety about moving forward. So there's a hesitation here with this card. The next card that came out is the High Priestess. And this is basically telling you that you have all the answers you need at your disposal, okay? When inner conflict creeps in, it creeps in for a reason. And it's basically guidance is coming through in the sense of intuition, okay? The right thing to do is going to be to listen to your inner voice and realizing how you can proceed with this. So I do feel in general, the Queen of Cups is also a very receptive, a very psychic, and a very intuitive person. This person has very good perception of human nature. In the reverse position, this person might be overlooking a lot of flaws, okay? So it could be you or another person that you are dealing with. And because you are so receptive and so accepting of other people, and you know, being the balanced beam, you are also very, it's the balancing scale. You are also, when your feelings and your rationality are not in accordance with one another, that balance is tipped off. And when it is, you are not operating at your best. So it is really important to get to the heart of the matter as to why this sense of hesitation is coming in and how that can be fixed so that you can achieve emotional and physical balance, okay? So that's going to be required. I feel like that's going to play out for the first 2 weeks. I do feel that deep down, you might have started new projects, you might have started new relationships, even, you know, new income generating endeavors, and you're not sure about its potential. A lot of you are kind of like cycling through worst case scenario, and you're kind of gauging, you know, just, oh, it requires too much work, or the payout is going to be, you know, stalled, delayed, and it's frustrating. You know, it is frustrating to deal with these stalled red light type of energy, and it's urging you that, you know, patience is going to be very vital here. And at the same time, the Strength card is about courage, okay? So in this situation, I do feel that your sense of inner courage is suppressed here. And it's because you are trying to maintain the peace in a interpersonal relationship. That's not going to serve you in the long run, so be very, very careful, Libra. We are dealing with more important. So for those of you who are dealing with this like on an extensive basis, if this is something that is a repeated pattern that's coming back in, it requires your attention. And Mercury in retrograde is going to bring up old problems from the past so that you can deal with them adequately. Okay, once you properly dealt with them, they're not going to cycle back in. So for a lot of you, this might be a situation that is cycling through, and it requires that you deal with it properly this time around so that it's not going to affect you into the future. You're lacking the strength and you're lacking the courage to do it. So for Libras who are dealing with like almost, you know, male or female, who are dealing with like an overpowering energy, somebody who's very domineering, and you don't know how to. It's kind of like communication is, this person might be explosive. They might be verbally abusive as well. And when they're doing that, it's because they're operating from a place of fear, of anxiety as well. Okay, keep that in mind, because it's kind of like, the bark is, I guess, worse than the bite. Okay, so maybe they need to be put in their place. Maybe, you need to say a few words. You need to act out of character here, and set them in their place, so that way they don't bully you. For example, if for those who are dealing with that type of situation. Yeah, so it's the same energy that is coming through here. You feel a little bit powerless. You feel that this situation can't be turned around for the better, and you don't know what to do, okay? So it is going to be a little bit problematic if this is an ongoing issue and there's no end in sight. So you are trying all possibilities, but I do feel that your intuition is telling you the right thing to do. It's just a matter of implementing it and having the courage to follow it through, rather than, dabbling in multiple solutions and not getting getting like a jumbled result, and not getting like a consistent result out of it, so that at least you know how to rule out your options. Okay, so, use the process of elimination. Okay, so this is basically the card of illusion. um so for example, you have all these choices laid out in front of you. If you proceed with like choice A, find out what's going to happen. So do that first, and then, see what's going to happen. And then if that doesn't give you a favorable outcome, eliminate that. And then do option B. Don't dabble in several, and you end up with very jumbled results. So have a more systematic way of approaching this situation in general, and you're going to be in a good place, okay? Okay, so on the finance front, I do feel that a lot of you might have started new employment opportunities, might come into a little bit of a pay raise here. This is also a very young energy, so a lot of you might be pursuing new careers that, while you're not completely happy with, or you're learning a new trade, and then the people around you are kind of like the supervisors, the other people who have seniority in that company, in that organization, or in that work situation or work environment that you're dealing with. They might try to like bully you, for example. That's one way that that can work out. And you're okay with it because you feel that, as a rookie, that's what you're supposed to do, when in fact it's not fair. Don't let them do that to you, because it's going to set like a dangerous precedence for the next person. And in general, if there is like power struggle within an organization and it gets that bad when you just started, it is going to cycle back around, and it is going to be an ongoing issue. So that's something to keep in mind, and really, try to mitigate conflicts early on, try to establish where you stand and where others cannot encroach and, upon your space, so that this situation doesn't happen later on. Okay, so establish firm rules on how other people can treat you, so that they don't encroach upon, your own sense of identity. Okay, more than anything. Okay, so we have the King of Pentacles, very good card. King of Cups, very good card here. Okay, and the Knight of Wands in the reverse. So the Chariot and the Knight of Wands. Okay, so let's see here. For those of you who are dealing with earth signs and water signs in general, I do feel that, yeah, this is a new work environment. A lot of you might have traveled in the past to take on a new work environment, and unfortunately, this new work environment does. So if we're reading this as like a past energy, this new work environment seemed very, very promising. And when you get to it, you're going to initially, hit these stumbling blocks, and you're dealing with these very, very like type A, very almost like aggressive people, and you don't really know where to turn. It's a new work environment, so give it some time, but at the same time, establish firm boundaries. Okay, Earth is all about boundaries here. So for those of you who are dealing with an earth sign in general, I do feel that this person has your best interests at heart. They might not be aware of the issues that you are going through, if that's something that you're concerned about and you're wondering why they're not available to help you, or they're not, they seem like very detached. It's because they're kind of like wrapped up in their own thing, not to be selfish or anything, but they're actually just not aware of it, okay? So if you need help, you really have to approach this person head on, and you can't be evasive about it, okay? And they're going to help you. For those of you who are dealing with like a water sign, like a Cancer, Pisces, or a Scorpio, what I do feel in general is that the Magician is pointing towards this King of Cups. And it can play out as a female or a male, but I do see that in a works type of situation, this person is going to be very instrumental in helping you navigate this type of energy for this month, okay? So if there is a water sign, possibly someone who's very level-headed, who's very mature, and who's very supportive, okay? And I do sense this person might be just like readings. He can be a she as well. So he or she has a very, very soothing presence. So I feel that you're going to know who this person is because when they're around, your atmosphere seems to stabilize. Okay, these two people in general, when you're around them, or when they're in when you're in their presence, or when they're in your midst, things start to calm down, things start to stabilize. They are very decisive, and they can command like trust, respect, and they possess a sense of authority, okay? So in general, because this is earth and water, they are going to be slow in reacting. So whatever news it is that is circulating in your work environment, or even in your relationships, or even, in any type of a situation in which you have these very strong figureheads and you're trying to like get them to help you, it is going to be slow, okay? They are going to delay it a little bit because they want to see how you are going to handle it yourself, okay? So it's kind of like, you know, everyone is starting out from scratch. They want to see who is going to shine, who has like leadership potential, okay? So they're kind of like very hands off, and they're letting you, um, solve situations yourself in a creative way, and in a very diplomatic way as well, because these two are very diplomatic, okay? They don't burn bridges, they mend bridges. So they're trying to like let all the new people come into their own, and let the new people exert their influence in this new work environment, in this new organization, even in this new relationship. So they're putting you through a test almost, just to see how resourceful you are, how strong and brave you are, and at the same time, how much you are kind of like how able you are in balancing out, your rationality and your sense of like emotional ties to other people. So doing the right things, and in general taking, um, taking that big step is going to be, it might be difficult for a lot of you, but I do sense that you're being put on stage here. You have to like shine your best, and you have to stay true to your values, okay? So for those of you who are dealing with this situation in a work environment, I do sense that, you are being observed. They're going to feel as if, they're very nonchalant about this whole observation process, but you're under their radar, okay? So they are aware of what you're doing, and they really want you to step up and be supervisory material. So, with great responsibilities, they want somebody who is capable of wearing those shoes, okay? So who are capable of making those very difficult decisions, and who are tact about making these decisions. So I hope that makes sense to you. This is just a very strong energy I am sensing. We have two kings. So, these are people who are grooming others for their position once they're gone. So they want to choose the right person, okay? Because earth and water, again, it's somebody. So if you have somebody who is a merger of earth and water, they are very stable, they are very intuitive. At the same time, they are very diplomatic. The sword energy is more like very curt, very frank. But earth and water kings, they are very diplomatic, and they want somebody who's firm but diplomatic. Okay, so those two things will help you along in your career for this month. For those of you who are dealing with this in a type of a career structure setting, so firmness and diplomacy. Those are like the two key words. So keep that in mind, okay? I hope that's helpful for somebody out there who's dealing and navigating this this office politics types of situation. So if you're, at a loss for what to do, firmness and diplomacy. Firmness and diplomacy here. So for those of you who are, not dealing with this in a work environment, but rather in a relationships type of situation, the people you're dealing with in general are very receptive, and they're also very perceptive. And they want you to really handle situations on your own. They don't want somebody who's easily rattled. They don't want somebody who's pursuing, financial gains at the expense of interpersonal relationships. So it's kind of like burning bridges in order to get ahead. Someone who's very cutthroat. If that's an energy that you feel might be within you, just rein that in. Be very careful, okay? Because in any type of relationship here, it is very important to maintain strong ties with people because they are going to be instrumental in your success, okay? So that's another way that that can play out. So don't be tempted by the riches. Just make sure you have enough for yourself and do it in a way that is more in alignment with your moral values, okay? That's going to um, carry you further down the line, and it's also going to command respect from the people that you deal with, okay? So keep that in mind as well. And what I am sensing here is that the Magician here is in the reverse position. It is pointing to the King of Cups, who's also looking at the Knight of Wands. Knight of Wands in the reverse is somebody who so I feel like missed opportunities here. If opportunities come up for you, okay, so I'm looking at this cluster here. So this is basically, the way out. This is like the path that you need to intuitively know so that you can have success. So he's pointing here, and then he's looking here. So the Knight of Wands here is the area of focus, and what it is so this is somebody who's very spirited, who's not afraid of taking risks. And, this is somebody potentially who could have traveled from far away, and who is very quite adventurous, okay? As a Knight energy is still quite a young energy. In the reverse position, it's somebody who doesn't take life by the horns. So it's someone who's kind of like nibbling at life from the sidelines rather than immersing themselves in the full experience. So don't do that. That would be to your detriment, okay? So try not to do that, and try to live your life as if, opportunities will come only once. So live without regrets. And I feel that it is going to carry. I hope you enjoy the reading, and if you'd like a private reading with me, please send me an email at temperatestar@gmail.com. And please like, share, and subscribe as well if this reading resonates with you. And also let me know how this plays out in your life if you're in this situation, okay? So I will be back next week for your weekly reading. Thank you so much.